Hey everybody, it's Mitch, and welcome to my next video. Today, we are going to be doing a video where we talk about the difference between D&D 5th edition and Pathfinder 1st edition. Now, I personally, if you don't know, come from a D&D 3.5 background. If you aren't aware of that, I make a bajillion videos on D&D 3.5. You should check those out. But I'm going to try not to talk about 3.5 too much, even though that is where most of my experience comes from. I have played both Pathfinder 1st Edition and D&D 5e. I've played 5e a bit more. I've played that for about a year, whereas I played Pathfinder for about a summer. So a little bit of a difference in playtime, but I did get some experience with both. And let's talk about what the differences that I've discovered between them are, and how just let's just talk about them. So first off, if you weren't aware, there are multiple editions of Dungeons and Dragons. I particularly play 3.5 edition, which is a extension of third edition. Um, uh, Third edition was a weird one where a few months in they actually came out with a new one. It's not exactly a new one. They looked at fan feedback and then revamped it, keeping most of the stuff the same but fixing some stuff up that was problematic. But anyways, that is the one I mostly play. But there was the original D&D from back in the 60s or 70s, and then they had AD&D, which is sometimes called D&D 2e. Then 3.5 came out. I'm not sure when AD&D came out. 3.5 came out around 2000s, maybe late 90s, somewhere around there. I got into it when it was 3.5. Third edition was around then. 3.5 was a bit later, like mid 2000s. I got into it around '06, and it was pretty new back then. Um, and then fourth edition came out early 2010s. We don't talk about fourth edition. And fifth edition then came out just a few years ago, maybe like 5 years ago, something like that. It's fairly new, and it's the one that's currently being supported. And that's the one we're talking about today. Now, Pathfinder First Edition, that was actually a response to Dungeons and Dragons 3.5. So basically, what happened was when Fourth Edition for Dungeons and Dragons came out, people weren't happy. They were used to 3.5 and they got 4th edition and they did not like it. 4th edition was highly anticipated. Everyone was really looking forward to it, and it just wasn't good, and it did not meet standards. So a lot of 3.5 players who did not like 4th edition decided to create their own game, which is Pathfinder, and it is very heavily based off of 3.5. So that history lesson out of the way, let's start talking about the actual mechanics of them, and really comparing and contrasting the two. So, fifth edition, it's a lot newer, for one, of D&D. Yes, D&D fifth edition. I'll just say fifth edition from now on. Basically, it's a much more polished game. It's very refined. The rules were thought over very thoroughly. They really tried to do what they could to try and balance it. They weren't the best at it. There's definitely some things that are better than others, but they fixed some of the things that became problematic through some of the splat books that came out later. Although they're still coming out with splat books, and there are some rumblings about some of the new ones causing game-breaking stuff. Which was an issue back in the 3.5 days. But anyways, but since they haven't done support, then you don't really hear about that too much since everything's just so established. But anyways, with 5e, that is it's very user friendly. So 5e is a super user friendly game. It's very polished, like I said, and the rules are really simple. In my opinion, too simple, but a lot of people like them. It's very beginner friendly. It's a game that focuses heavily on the story because you don't have so much of the rules that you have to constantly be remembering to constantly focus on. So you can focus more on the actual story and making interesting stuff that way. Now, Some of the downsides to it is because it's so simplified, customization is not nearly as good as in like Pathfinder, which is really similar to 3.5. So that's one of the problems I see with 5e. Now, it does do some good things, like skills and stuff are pretty well balanced. These are things that I think it actually took from Pathfinder. Like some of the changes to skills and stuff are very similar to the ones with Pathfinder, but I think they balanced it a little better than Pathfinder did. Um, they also managed to they also took a couple of other nice things from Pathfinder, which I'm trying to remember what those are right now. But they 5e did borrow from Pathfinder a bit, which is interesting that they did that after Pathfinder borrowed from 3.5. It does show that Wizards of the Coast, the makers of Dungeons and Dragons, did actually listen to their fans, and they saw what people did with Pathfinder. They saw that Pathfinder was a response to 3.5, and they listened, and they took some things from that fixed the game and made it better, and incorporated it into the game, which was nice. Definitely appreciated. Skills was a big one that they did that with, simplifying them. Now, is that necessarily a good thing? It's hard to say. And I think they did fix it. I think they did lower the they changed the system a lot, and it's actually fairly similar to Pathfinder system. And I think they did give a lot less number of skills to your high skill monkey, things like the rogue, since so many skills got combined into one. You don't need as many anymore. So that was kind of cool. Now, another thing. Now, on the Pathfinder side, like I say, it's 3.5. It's very similar to 3.5. So it has a ton of customization. There is all sorts of it. One nice thing about Pathfinder is it's sort of free. I mean, you can buy the book, the core rule book, for like $60, but that's the printed version. You can get you can get access to it, the digital version, for free online, and I'm pretty sure with Pathfinder that's actually legal. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, like, let me know, and I'll correct that in the comments. But I'm pretty sure that's actually legit free, since it is kind of a fan-made game. And $60 for the book as thick as that really is a pretty good deal for Pathfinder. It seems to me that a large majority of that $60 is going into actual printing costs and shipping costs, and the cost of storing it on a store shelf, which is a real cost. Like, it is not cheap for stores to keep books on their shelves, or any sort of merchandise. Like, that shelf space costs some serious money. It's worth it's worth something. I've got an associate's in business. I know a little bit about that. But anyways, so basically, it seems like the cost of that book is mostly actual real cost, and there's like very little profit that actually goes to the developers, from the book itself. So yeah, that makes me really think. So that's one nice thing about Pathfinder, is its low cost, and just how easy it is to get into. And that's just the core rulebook. There's also a ton of updated stuff on their webpage, which it's all from the same legit site. They put it's all from the same official Pathfinder site. Tons and tons of feats. They also have flaws, and they got flaws and traits and all this fun stuff. So they really make it so you can really flesh out your character, even more so than you can in 3.5 in some ways, with the flaws and stuff. Other than that, it's about the same, except for I think 3.5 has more splat books and source stuff by like a good margin. There's so much 3.5 material. Anyways, this isn't about 3.5. So yeah, Pathfinder, tons and tons and tons of customization options. Lots of different items that you can wear on your character, and you have many different magic item slots, and you can have magic items on each one, and they'll all work. Whereas with 5e, you're very limited on magic items. So that's another big thing. So power scaling with Pathfinder, as with 3.5, power scaling's big. Like the difference between a first level character and a 20th level character is absolutely massive. A first level character doesn't stand a chance against a 20th level character. Like it's not even a contest. They'd absolutely get slaughtered without ever doing any damage, and it's not even close. I mean, if you get super, super lucky, then sure, but it's statistically impossible that a first level character will even threaten a 20th level character. Now, in Pathfinder. Now with 5e, that's not quite the case. Yeah, a 20th level character is considerably more powerful than a first, sure, but not by nearly as much as in 3.5 or in Pathfinder. Sorry, I'm so used to 3.5. But yeah, so Pathfinder, it's a massive, massive difference. 5e, it's not a lot. You really don't get that much from leveling up. And the number of you're capped at 3 magical items that you can have attuned to you. So the amount of buffs you can get from magic items is very limited. The amount of extra power you can get from skills and everything is limited. The increases to AC, it's all very, very limited. So growth is really stifled in 5e, which is good and bad. Like, there's not the power creep. They kind of stop that a lot from leveling up, but at the same time, leveling up is less meaningful. Although there's still definitely some meaning to it. You can definitely gain some really cool stuff in 5e as you level up. So, yeah. But there's definitely a lot more customization. With Pathfinder, if you really want to play it, you pretty much need a computer. It's pretty hard to play without access to the web to look up everything you're going to need for all your customization options. Whereas with 5e, you can buy physical books for all the extra material. Whereas with Pathfinder, I'm not sure if the extra material is actually in a printed book anywhere. I think you might need to use their webpage, and that's especially seeing as the webpage is updated fairly regularly. So I don't know how much anymore. It's a fairly old game now, and Pathfinder 2nd edition is out now, so probably less frequent than it used to be, but I'm guessing it still gets updated. I haven't really checked too much. But yeah, very different games. Pathfinder is, I'd say it's more for experienced players than 5e, whereas 5e is it's kind of the noob game. It's the one that's really beginner friendly. It's that you focus more on the role-playing aspects. Pathfinder has a million rules for everything, which can be really cool. And I kind of like a lot of that, but at the same time, like, you really have to learn all of that, or else it distracts from the role play because you're looking up rules and how to do stuff in time that you could be spent role playing. So it is what it is. There's definitely a difference between the two. Personally, I think I'd prefer hard to say. Honestly, I think it would be Pathfinder, although it's a tougher call because I've had a better experience with 5e. The one group I played Pathfinder with didn't go as well as I would have liked, but that's probably just the group experience thing. I suspect if I found a better group, things wouldn't be as bad. So yeah, that's my video on Pathfinder 1st edition versus D&D 5th edition. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. Maybe subscribe to the channel for more videos. I mostly do Dungeons & Dragons 3.5, as I've mentioned before, and probably came up a million times. Actually, I know it came up a million times throughout the video. So yeah, that's what you can look forward to. Maybe ring that notification bell so you never miss out on a video. But anyways, as always, I'm Mitch. I'll be seeing you